Good morning, Ovid Middle Schoolers. This is Mr. Woolley. And remember, the information contained in this video is intended to be viewed only by the students in Mr. Woolley's classroom. By watching the video, you agree that you will not record or share the video with anyone who is not a student in Mr. Woolley's classroom. All right, we're going to be working with Lesson 6 today, collecting rational number-like terms. So we're going to be working with fractions and some of the collecting like terms scenarios. But first, they're going to give us some work just working with fractions again, get our brains back focused on those. So here's our first example of the day. Terry weighs 40 kilograms. Janice weighs 2 3/4 kilograms less than Terry. What is their combined weight? So we know Terry's, and if we're going to combine their weights, we're going to add them together. We don't know much about Janice except the fact that she weighs 2 3/4 less than what he does. So if I take that away from, in this situation here, it'll tell me what Janice's weight is, and I can add it to Terry's. So what I got to do then is take 40 minus 2 3/4. Now, when I do that, I have no fraction trying to take away a fraction. So I borrow from the whole number, drop it down 1, and I create a 1 right here, 4 out of 4. Why did I choose 4? Because that's a 4. So that's a 4, and I fill it all the way up, so it means it's 1. So 39 and 1 still make 40. But now look what I can actually do. 4/4 minus 3/4 gives me 1/4. 39 minus 2 is 37. So now I know Janice's weight. And 40 plus 37 1/4 is 77 1/4 kilograms combined. All right, next up, I got 2 2/3 minus 1 1/2 minus 4/5. Well, altogether here, I have 3 different denominators. So what I'm going to do is get everything to the same type of denominator, and I'll adjust the numerator accordingly. But I have to find my match between 3s, 2s, and 5s. So I start listing out my 3s, I list out my 2s, I list out my 5s. And I find that 30 is the first chance that I have to hit all 3 of them. So my denominator is going to be 30. So I go from the original problem, and I get everything changed to a 30. 2 2/3 becomes 2 20/30. How's that get there? 3 times 10 gave me 30, so 2 times 10 gives me 20. 2 times 15 gives me 30. 1 times 15 is 15. 5 times 6 gave me 30, so 4 times 6 is 24. Now I can only subtract one problem at a time here, so let's go ahead and work with this one. 2 20/30 minus 1 15/30. Okay, that gives me 20 minus 15 gives me 5/30. 2 minus 1 gives me 1. So 1 5/30. But I'm still going to have to take away that 24/30. So what I do is I'm going to make this to an improper fraction. And I would normally just borrow 1, but since I only have 1 here, that's all I can do. So 30 times 1 is 30, plus 5 gives me 35. So that turns into 35/30. Now I can take away 24/30, and I get 11/30. All right, I have 1/5 plus a -4. Now remember, I have a positive plus a negative number. There are more negatives here than there are positives, so I do know that it's a negative answer. So since that's my winning number, the negative number, which I have more of, I just take 4 minus 1/5. And I make it borrow. 4 gets down to a 3, and then the 1 turns into 5/5. So now I can actually take 5/5 minus 1/5 gives me 4/5. And 3 minus no whole number just gives me 3. But keep in mind my answer is going to be negative. I already made that decision over here because there's more negatives than positives. So negative 3 4/5. All right, I'm going to multiply here. 4 times 3/5. Remember, when I multiply, I need a top and a bottom for each one. So I put a 1 under the 4. So now it's 4 over 1 times 3/5. Now I would try to cross cancel, but 4 and 5, nothing divides into both of those. 3 and 1, nothing divides into both of those, so I'm just stuck multiplying. So 4 times 3 gave me 12. 1 times 5 gave me 5. So I get 12/5, and I can turn that back to a mixed number. Top number goes in, bottom number goes out. 5 goes into 12 twice, and that's 10. And then there's 2 left over, so 2 2/5. All right, question E. Mr. Jackson bought 1 3/5 pound of beef. He cooked 3/4 of it for lunch. How much does he have left? Well, if he's already cooked 3/4 of it, that means he's only going to have 1/4 of that amount left. So I'm trying to find what 1/4 of that original number was. Well, of means multiply. I need to take 1/4 times 1 3/5. So I'm going to make this improper. That way I have a top and a bottom. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 gives me 8. So I take 1/4 times 8/5, and I can cross cancel, divide both of these ones by 4. I get down to 1, and I get a 2. So I get 2 times on the top and 5 on the bottom. If I wouldn't have done that, I would have got 8/20, which means I still would have had to go down to lowest terms. But since I reduced early in the problem, now I don't have to do it here. So 2/5 pound of beef left. All right, got a couple more examples for you on the next page. All right. It says rewrite the expression in standard form by collecting like terms. Now I start having my letters involved here. I got n's, 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 n's. So everything's going to be n's, so essentially I just got to total these all up. So now I got 3s, 4s, 6s, and 9s. I got a lot of different numbers here. Where's my match for all of them going to be? Well, 3s and 4s and 6s and 9s. If I start listing them all out, I get 36 is the first match they all have. So 3 times 12 got me 36. 2 times 12 is 24. 4 times 9 got me 36. 3 times 9 is 27. 6 times 6 is 36, so 1 times 6 gives me 6. 9 times 4 is 36. 2 times 4 gives me an 8. All right, so what I'm going to do, though, is these are all positives here. The 2436, the 636, the 2 and 836. I'm going to add up all my positive ones. So 24 plus 6 plus 8 gives me 3836. Now, I know it's improper, and I'm going to put over here as part of my mixed number. I'm doing that just for a minute because I know I'm going to be taking away some numbers anyways. So before I convert this back and have to screw around converting around again, I'm just going to go ahead and just leave it improper for the time being. So I still have that 2 as a whole number, and then all those little fractions, there, and there, add up to 3836. But now, even though it looks kind of funny, it's pretty helpful because I'm supposed to take away a pretty good sized fraction, 2736. So 38 minus 27 leaves you with 1136, and 2 minus nothing just leaves you 2. So 2 and 1136 n. Notice how all these were n, so I had to make sure that I did put my n on the end of that. All right, next up, I got a couple more here for you. I have g's, then a single g, remember that's a 1g, and then there's another g here. And then the other ones are going to be just regular numbers to deal with, minus 1/6 and minus 4/5. All right, so let's deal with our g's first. All right, so by the way, the common denominator through all these is going to be 30. 5s and 6s and 10s, common denominator you can see is going to be 30. So anyways, as I went ahead, I'm going to focus on just the g's in this part of the problem. So 5 times 6 got me up to 30. 2 times 6 is 12. Obviously, I'm just going to be taking away one of the g's here. And then I have the plus 3/10. So I'm going to take these two, add them together first before I take this one away. And the 3/10 turn into 9/30 because 10 times 3, 3 times 3 give me 9. And then I add them together, I get 21/30. I'm supposed to take away this 1g right here. Now, remember, there's more negatives here than there are positives, so I know it's going to be a negative answer right over here. So I just take my winning number, the 1, minus 21/30. Well, 1 I got to kind of change into 30/30, so I can actually subtract something. And that leaves me with 9/30, but remember it's going to be a negative. But remember, 9/30 can actually go lowest terms down to negative 3/10 g. Now over here, I had the regular numbers to deal with. I had the negative 1/6 minus the 4/5. So both of those are negative. Remember, our denominator is going to be 30. So 6 times 5 got me up here. 1 times 5 is 5. And then 5 times 6 gives me 30. 4 times 6 gives me 24. So really, everything's going to be negative here. I'm just going to total it all up. So add them together, really. And remember, my answer is going to be negative. So I get 29/30, but it's really a negative 29/30 because it's negative here, negative here. So altogether, I got two answers for all my work. Negative 3/10 g minus 29/30. All right, my last one here. I have i's, 1, 2, 3, 4 terms that have i's in them, and 1, 2, 3 terms that have h's in them. So let's deal with our i's first. I have 1i plus 6i plus 1/2 i, and then I'm going to take away 3/7 i. Well, just this alone I can group together really quick. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 1/2 is 7.5. So really I get 7.5 i minus 3/7 i. And then get the denominators to match up. 1/2 turns into 7/14. 3/7 turns into 6/14. 7 minus 6 gives me 1/14. And 7 minus nothing gives me 7. So here's my i's. They're all done. H's. Notice how I have stars by the h's. I got 1/3 minus just an h plus a 1/4. Let's get this added together first. 1/3 and 1/4. Adjust the denominators correctly, and I get 4/12 and 3/12. Add them together, and I get 7/12. Have to take away an h, but this minus 1, well, this is bigger, so it's going to be a negative number. So I take the bigger number, the 1, minus 7/12, and I convert my 1 to 12/12 because I needed something with 12 on the bottom. And I can actually subtract it at that point, and I get 5/12. But remember, it's negative because 7/12 minus 1 is going to result in a negative answer. So alphabetical order-wise for my two answers, though, H's come before the I's do. All right? So negative 5/12 H plus 7 1/14 I. All right, there's a practice in Schoology to kind of get our brains working with fractions again. Mostly it's just fraction work, but there is a little bit of how it applies to some of our algebra skills too. So go ahead and give that a try in Schoology.